the most about sex through dirty jokes at school, honestly, which is pretty sad.
And of course, you learn a lot on the school bus in some embarrassing ways. So as far as the down and dirty, that's where I learned most of it, was at school or on the school bus from other kids. So yeah, I pieced together my education, I guess.
Most of my questions were answered by Google, so I didn't really have a good person to answer my questions because the sex talk was really uncomfortable and awkward with my mother.
So my parents are divorced, and my dad and stepmom are pretty avid Christians. They go to church like every time the doors are open. Mom, not so much. She's not really religious. She just kind of worked and came home. But neither one of them really talked about sex much with me at all. Most of what I learned about sex was from books or the internet whenever we finally had a computer, or movies. But I was taught that premarital sex is a sin, and if you sin, you go to hell. So my dad and stepmom never really used God as a way to threaten me necessarily if I did have sex, but they did make it very clear to me, premarital sex is a sin.
There's so many pieces, even though I feel like I got a good education about, STDs and what could just blow up and go wrong. And that's how it's put. But yeah, you get that aspect. But what is healthy sexuality? What does that look like? Because you have these hormones, you have this urge, you have the need to express yourself in that way. We never got any kind of picture of what healthy sexuality was. It was either don't do it, don't get caught doing it, or don't get a disease.
If you are making your kid feel ashamed for having any kind of sexual feelings or sexual interest, then you are causing a way larger problem than necessary. When your kid doesn't get to talk about things with you and doesn't understand things, a lot of the time it's just going to push it farther into experimenting or doing that whole thing that you're trying to get them not to do. Be real with your kids, because they're going to have sex a lot of the time, whether you know it or not. And the last thing you want is your young child to end up with an STD or an unwanted pregnancy and not know what to do.
My father would get really nervous about it and wouldn't say much. But actually, funny enough, my mom was a nurse. So she could talk about the human body in a way that wasn't weird and creeped me out. She taught me a lot of stuff. She taught me how, anywhere from just the straight biological, this is what the woman has that a man has, to how to treat women. No means no, even stuff like that. So mom was really good with that kind of stuff.
No, nobody ever talked to me about birth control or condoms. I mean, there was like little jokes about it and stuff. I remember actually asking for birth control when I was about 16, and because I was terrified to tell my mother that I wanted to be sexually active and I wanted to be smart, so I told her that I just wanted it to help my skin and help with just my period and everything, and she got really nervous and was asking me about sex and stuff, and so it just was really uncomfortable, and I did not get birth control.
Nobody talked to me about birth control until after I had already had sex for the first time. I had sex quite a bit, actually, at the point that they had found out I had been having sex and had been using no birth control. And whenever they did find out I was having sex, my dad was kind of the one that said, no matter what I do or say, she's probably still going to have sex. So I'm going to go ahead and get a prescription for birth control.
My parents divorced when I was 8. So, I split my time between the two of them. And my mom just wasn't something we talked about at all. Some things happened to me when I was really, really young that I never talked to her about. And I think that stigma the stigma of sex in general, growing up in a real conservative evangelical community, I think made it hard to talk about, even between a mother and a daughter.
I'm going to talk about something really scary here, but I was molested when I was really young. And so when finally, I had sex for the first time, it was kind of like, in doing that, I kept thinking, well, it's not like I have anything to give. Like, I didn't feel like I had that perfect, pure gift to give to the person I was going to spend the rest of my life with. It just kind of felt like something was already messed up with me. And as I got older, through high school, I had serious boyfriends and stuff, always sexually active, always having sex with them, not even thinking twice about safety or anything like that. Just, what can I do to have this person's approval? Or, look at all this sex I'm having. That's what it felt like to me. Look at all the sex I'm having. I'm completely normal. I'm having normal sex like normal people do. And it wasn't necessarily as simple as that, because of what had happened to me when I was younger and the way it had been treated, and kind of like, it's hard for me to imagine that nobody knew it was happening and nobody did anything about it. But I just remember thinking, I just want to be normal. I want to feel normal in my sexuality, and convincing myself in order to do that, I had to have sex with all of these people. And it probably wasn't up until a year or two ago that I really came to terms with everything. And it's really funny because a boy keyed whore into my car. And after that happened, I kind of started to question, well, maybe I am just a whore. Or maybe I don't have anything to offer except for sex. And I don't know. I don't feel like anyone ever talks to me about what sex is for, or that it's okay to have sex and that everyone has sex or anything like that. I don't feel like anyone ever really talked about it at all with me. Not that I can remember.
My sister, she's my stepsister, but we've been together since we were really young. We're best friends. She's 9 months, 2 days older than me. And she had her first baby when we were 15. And then my sister's experience, her not feeling comfortable telling anyone about her pregnancy for a long time. Longer than she should have waited to get health care, just out of fear.
And it's not that this information isn't available and people haven't figured it out. In Sweden, Sweden has the lowest unwanted pregnancy rate in the world, and they start sex education in kindergarten. They start talking about love and what love feels like, and how it feels to love your teddy bear versus your mom versus your best friend. Like, how do those loves feel? How do you show love? How do you ask for love? And so it's a lot around consent.
Curiosity is not a bad thing. Curiosity did not kill the cat. It's normal to be curious and want to know things and to feel pleasure. It's natural. In no way is it wrong. Not giving a speech of don't do it would be a great way to keep it from being taboo. That not adding shame to sex, because in no way should it be shameful. It's natural.
And I'm not even sure where this education needs to happen. I don't trust church to give them the information. I don't know where it would come from, other than maybe a healthcare provider or myself. But we can't, hold every parent to accountability. Here's your curriculum. Share this with your child. So I guess public school is probably would be the most concise kind of place for it to happen. What that would look like, I think, would be tricky.